one day somebody does something unspeakable to someone else, to someone you hardly knew, and you do something about it, because you can.
We get this story from njspotlightnews.org. The Fort Lee, New Jersey police officer who shot and killed a woman experiencing a mental health emergency in July of 2024 will not face criminal charges in a death that intensified calls to address how armed police officers deal with people in crises, mental health crises. A state grand jury declined to file criminal charges, said the Attorney General's office last Tuesday. Fort Lee police officer Tony Pickens Jr. fatally shot Victoria Lee, who's 25, on July 28, 2024, after her brother had called 911 for assistance. Lee's death was investigated by the State Office of Police Integrity and Accountability and presented to the grand jury according to the Independent Prosecutor Directive of 2019. And that's according to the Attorney General's office. I need to learn to read. The investigation included audio from 911 calls, video footage from body cameras, and a taser, civilian law enforcement interviews, photos, ballistic reports, and autopsy results from the medical examiner, according to the AG. Now, this evidence included video of the incident. After hearing the testimony and evidence, the grand jury concluded its deliberations on July 14th of this year and concluded that no criminal charges should be filed against Tony Pickens.
Her brother called 911 to ask for an ambulance since Victoria had been hospitalized in the past.
We want to send her to the hospital.
The dispatcher told her brother police would be sent. He called back to try and cancel the call.
My daughter doesn't like police to come.
Lee says she picked up a foldable knife used to open packages to protest this. Never any violent outbursts toward any family member or anybody?
Never until her death never happened. That's the first time.
I'm going to break the door down.
Go ahead, I'll stab you in your neck.
Sir, do me a favor, step back.
We don't want to shoot you. We want to talk to you.
Lee feels officers escalated things and could have waited to find out more about the situation.
Mental health professionals need to be there from the very beginning. My daughter already put down the knife because my wife persuaded her. She had a fear, anxiety, and then anger.
Who wants to go less lethal? Who wants to go lethal?
All right, I'll go lethal.
A few seconds later,
Drop the knife! Drop the knife!
we're freezing the video before police fire a shot, killing Lee. It's unclear from this video if a knife was in her hand. The New Jersey Attorney General's office announced a change to the use of force policy, among other things requiring police departments to coordinate with mental health professionals and train in crisis negotiation.
It is welcoming, yes.
Lee's killing came a year after two separate incidents where police shot and killed Najee Seabrooks and Andrew Washington, whose families also had called for help during their mental health crises. For years, New Jersey law enforcement, healthcare providers, and community leaders have worked to improve police responses to those calls to avoid violent conclusions like the one that ended Victoria Lee's life. Victoria Lee should be alive today. Her parents deserve to see the officers who murdered their daughter and stand before the law. That's according to AAPI New Jersey and allied organizations in a statement posted on Twitter X. Quote, community members in Fort Lee and beyond should know they can access help safely and without fear when they need it. Now, instead, the Office of Public Integrity and Accountability's failure to secure a grand jury indictment after a torturous year-long investigation has undermined public safety in New Jersey by making it clear that no matter how brutally and senselessly police officers kill our loved ones, the systems that are supposed to protect us will instead close their ranks to protect their own, said the statement. Yeah, that's called the blue line. The blue gang. You don't cross the blue line, your blue line brother. Lee's brother called 911 at 1:13 a.m. saying his sister was having a mental health crisis and he wanted her sent to Valley Hospital. according to police body camera footage released by the state attorney general.
Her brother called 911 to ask for an ambulance since Victoria had been hospitalized in the past.
You want to send her to the hospital?
The dispatcher told her brother police would be sent.
So they're talking, and the cop says, "Who's dealing with the mental health crises? Who's having the nervous breakdown right now? Who's the problem, your sister or you?" Now, more officers arrived and could be heard asking, "Who will use lethal force and less lethal force?"
Who wants to go less lethal? Who wants to go lethal?
All right, I'll go lethal.
A few seconds later,
Drop the knife! Drop the knife!
we're freezing the video before police fire a shot, killing Lee. It's unclear from this video if a knife was in her hand.
When the cops knocked down the door, Victoria was holding a water jug. The family says the knife was in front of her on the floor.
At 1:28 a.m., Pickens forcibly opened the door. He just pushes it open with no warrant. At that time, Victoria Lee was standing approximately 2 steps from the door, holding a 5-gallon water bottle in her right hand and an object in her left hand, according to the Attorney General's office. Officers yelled at Lee to drop the knife. Inside the apartment, Victoria Lee's mother was holding on to her left hand. Lee broke free from her mother's grasp, according to the Attorney General's office, and stepped toward the officers who were in the hallway. Pickens then fired a shot, hitting Lee in the chest. She was taken to Inglewood Hospital, where she was pronounced deceased at 1:58 a.m. Forced their way in. Jason Williams, a professor of justice studies at Montclair State University, said that while the grand jury's decision not to indict Officer Pickens reflects a legal threshold, it does not resolve the deeper concern, which is that Victoria Lee was experiencing a mental health crisis and she ended up dying. He said that outcome should never be acceptable or normalized, but it's normalized in the police department because they say, "You got something, bang, not no more." The absence of criminal charges here is a painful reminder that system level failures still go unchecked. It is particularly devastating for New Jersey's Asian community, which has seen disproportionate silence and under response when its members are harmed. Victoria Lee's death echoes far beyond Fort Lee. That's according to Williams. Lee's killing added to pressure on lawmakers who had been called to respond after Seabrooks of Paterson, New Jersey, and Washington of Jersey City were killed in 2023 by police. Like Victoria Lee, both Seabrooks and Washington were killed by police while they were in a mental health crisis. They're not all there. Members of the Patterson Healing Collective, where Seabrooks worked as an anti-violence activist, were barred by police from helping the day of his killing. They said, "No, step back, step back." They wouldn't even let him help. In Jersey City, Washington's family originally called the Jersey City Medical Center Crisis Hotline for non-law enforcement help. The deaths spurred advocacy for community-led options to mental health emergency calls. Few pieces of legislation have passed in response to the police killings of Seabrooks, Washington, and Lee. One of the only bills that successfully made it through the legislature is the Seabrooks, Washington Community-Led Crises Response Act, which provided funding for non-emergency response pilot programs. A bill that would require the state attorney general to review and potentially revise the policy that dictates when New Jersey's police officers can use deadly force is pending in the state legislature. We'll see it in 8 years. The legislation was prompted by Lee's killing, according to Assemblywoman Ellen J. Park, a Democrat, a primary sponsor of the bill. She said, "As long as there was full consideration of the law and all the proper measures were met, then maybe that is the right decision," she said of the state grand jury's decision. But she said, "I believe in the system, and if the system was worked out to the fullest, then I believe that the non-indictment, I guess, is the rightful or the proper decision." Notice she said, "I guess." The state has taken steps to address and revise its use of force policy in the past. Following New Jersey Advanced Media's 2018 The Force Report, which revealed disparities in police use of force by location and race, the Attorney General's office initiated significant reforms to guidelines. These directives, the first in nearly 2 decades, created a public use of force database, overhauled police training, and emphasized de escalation tactics to limit use of force. De escalation, there you go. The Attorney General's office has since issued further revisions in response to high profile police killings, such as after Patterson police killed Seabrooks in 23 in an apartment bathroom. In 2021, the office created a program called Arrive Together, which pairs mental health professionals alongside law enforcement on emergency calls. And then the law enforcement takes charge, right? The program is now available in all 21 counties and in Fort Lee. Over $20 million has been allocated to the program in the current state budget that was recently signed into law by Governor Phil Murphy. Michael B. Mitchell of the College of New Jersey said he was deeply saddened by the state grand jury's decision. Mitchell, a former police officer in Garland, Texas, reviewed and analyzed the Fort Lee police body camera footage when it was released in August of last year. He said, I think the Fort Lee shooting goes to show that citizens and communities of color collectively are not immune from unchecked police power and its lack of accountability. Now, he's an associate professor in the departments of African American Studies and Criminology at the school. And it goes down from there. Well, no, there's just one more paragraph. I'll go ahead and read it. Quote from Williams. And he says, transparency alone is not justice. We need tangible changes measured in lives preserved, not lives mourned. And I thought that was it, to protect and serve. Does protect mean protect life? You know, and there's a lot of arguments that I see could come up for people that are for this non-indictment. They could say, well, they had to force their way in. She had a knife. They didn't have to force their way in for that. Um, I don't know, maybe I'm armchair quarterbacking, but that's the question of the day. They forced their way in. Now, Chris Lee, he calls, she's having a mental health crisis, and the police forced their way into his apartment, and then the guy fires a shot and kills her because she had a knife. I don't know. I wasn't there. It's just, it's troubling, you know, because I saw a guy with a knife. And this is when in Australia. Now, one of my viewers, Ive Peters, could probably tell you more about this, but this guy in Australia, and it's on video. I saw the video of it. And he's running around with a knife and he's swinging it. And all the Australian police officers are backing away from him and moving to the side. And finally, one of them knocks his hand with a stick and the knife flips out. And he looks around and they all grab him, swing him around, bring him down, not softly. They didn't slam him. And they handcuff him and they walk him over to the police car. Not a one of them got stabbed, cut, anything. But American cops, you pull a knife, they go, I'm going to shoot you. Looking like, what's that, Don Knotts in the movie, The Shakiest Gun in the West? You know? Why can't our American officers be more like some of these other countries' police and be a little bit more, have a little more testicular fortitude? Like, okay, dude, don't do it. Don't, not, you got a knife. Bang, bang, bang. Oh my God, I'm gonna have somebody get me, somebody get me some. Oh my God, why can't you just hold on a minute? Well, you're not there. No, but I've seen other countries in the same scenarios as American police on video, and they handle it with preservation of life. So I guess what I'm saying is, and not every situation is like that. Look, sometimes cops just got to fire. I get that. I get that point that sometimes it's just the cop's life is in danger. It's him or the other guy. I get that part. I'm talking about when they just fire and they don't have to. You say, why won't they have to? People in other countries are in the same exact scenario. They don't fire. Nobody gets hurt and they walk away. So I guess what I'm saying, I know not every police encounter can end with preservation of life, but I think that sometimes I see cops were like the Australian guy with the knife. Man, that guy was running around swinging it, and they ended up knocking it out of his hand eventually and arrested him. Somebody pulls a knife on a cop and takes 2 steps forward, he gets shot. Well, he had a knife. He was coming at me. He shot a little too quick, bud, because the guys in Australia, they took that guy alive to jail. That's all I'm saying. I want to know what you all think. Let me know.